Okay, so we're looking at question 2 from the mini test. So we've got to subtract some fractions. So the first thing I would always do is check whether you can factorise and simplify, which we can't in this case. So because none of those numerators or denominators factorise. So what do you do when you subtract fractions? Well, if you're adding or subtracting fractions, they have to have the same denominator. So if we think back when maths was nice and straightforward, for example, if you're doing 4/5 subtract 2/3, you would be looking at those denominators and finding the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3, which is 15. Just 5 multiplied by 3. So you would multiply the first fraction by 3 to get that denominator of 15. And you would multiply the second fraction by 5 so that you also have that denominator of 15. So it's exactly the same logic here. So the lowest common denominator I'm going to be able to come up with is just going to be those two multiplied together. So the lowest common denominator is going to be 2x minus 3 multiplied by x plus 2, and I can I'll write them out as two separate fractions, but you could actually do this stage all in one go. So the first fraction, so this fraction here, is getting multiplied by, so that numerator of x plus 1 needs to be multiplied by x plus 2, yeah, the whole fraction. Because basically at this point I'm just finding an equivalent fraction. So if I want to multiply the denominator by x plus 2, the numerator also needs to be multiplied by x plus 2. So then to get that denominator of 2x minus 3 times x plus 2, the second fraction is actually being multiplied by 2x minus 3. So I've got the 2x that was already there, and that needs to be multiplied by 2x minus 3. So then it's just going to be, so then what happens when you subtract fractions? Well, once they've got the same denominator, see that denominator stays the same. So you could have gone straight to this stage, and that's absolutely fine. So you might not have written them as two separate fractions. So now I'm just going to do this, subtract this. But also I would just need to simplify as well. So as I'm doing that, I'm also going to multiply those brackets out. So the numerator of the first fraction, so x times x, and then I've got plus x plus 2x, and then then 1 times 2. And then I just want to be really careful with this minus. So the second numerator, when I expand those brackets out, is going to be minus 4x squared, and then it's actually going to be minus 6x. So that's going to end up as plus 6x. So just be ever so careful with that minus, and then the minus in the brackets. Okay, so now I'm going to collect like terms. So I've got x squared minus 4x squared. I've got 3x plus 6x, and then the plus 2. Okay, so final thing I need to check is does that numerator factorise? Because if that numerator factorises, I might be able to cancel that fraction down. And the question did ask me to simplify. So I would definitely need my final answer in its simplest form. So one sort of shortcut is you could just put that into your calculator and see what the solutions are. If I'm going to try and factorise it without my calculator, I'm definitely going to take that minus out as a factor. And actually, so that should be minus 2. And to be honest, though, I can see at this point that that is not going to simplify because... is it? No, I don't think it's going to simplify. Now, the reason I can see that is it's only going to simplify if that numerator has either 2x minus 3 or x plus 2 as a factor. Okay, and it clearly doesn't. Well, I think looking at it, I don't think it does. So if it does factorise, it would have to be 3x and x. And if it was going to be x plus 2, then that would need to be minus 1, and that doesn't work. So I don't think 2 and 1. No, so that's just not going to factorise. So actually, that is my fully simplified answer.